Yeah, welcome in. Welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast Live. Yes. Thank you for the applause. I appreciate that. Nah, but seriously, we got a heck of a show lined up for you today. Obviously, you can see from the rundown, we're gonna talk some boxing, but it's that second topic that kind of has the sports world like ablaze right now. And so we're gonna dig into that. Got some good commentary on it. Yeah, we're really gonna get into that. Obviously, Caitlin Clark and Indiana Fever, they're on a hot streak, and they got a huge game tomorrow against Angel Reese in the Chicago Sky. That should be big. And of course, we're going to finish up with some NFL talk because, I got to talk some football, and Dak Prescott is going to be what it is. So before we get to that, you know what time it is. If you're here on YouTube and you haven't already, please make sure you go ahead, click that like, that subscribe, that notification bell. Make sure you're kept up to date whenever we drop new content on the channel. If you want the audio-only version of the podcast, open up your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in The Format Podcast, and we should come right up. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you give us that like, that 5-star review, and drop a comment. All that stuff helps us rise in the algorithm, helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. And finally, make sure you write it down, put it in your phone, set an alarm, do whatever you got to do to remember. Saturday nights at 7 p.m. we are live here on the Format Podcast, and we'll give you the opportunity to call in, talk to us, get at me. I love it. I can't wait. Right. So y'all know I got to get in an NFL topic, and I hope you're still with me, Mr. Native Texan. This is for you. So Dak Prescott. So this is an interesting one, right? So we know that last week what's my man named Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. He just got paid, I want to say, $275 over 5-year extension. So that makes him, his annual value is $55 million a year, tied with Joe Burrow for the most in the NFL. G and I did a segment on that. We both think he's grossly overpaid based on what he's shown so far. But unfortunately, that's where the market is. Now, what does this have to do with Dak Prescott? The way guys get paid in the NFL, if you're a top 1 or 2 tier guy at your position, it's whoever got paid last kind of sets the market. And I have been screaming and crying and kicking and banging the drum that Dak Prescott should not reset the market because he's looking at $58 or $60 million a year on his next deal. And I've been saying, if I'm Jerry Jones, let this guy test the waters and see that he's not going to get what he's looking for. Then he's going to come back to you and you can give him a more reasonable deal, because you still have to You still have to pay CeeDee Lamb. I believe he's holding in. You still have to pay Michael Parsons. You got to deal with 2 of the best guys at their positions in the league, and you have to pay them. Michael Parsons could end up breaking the bank and being the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the league. Right now, I think it's Justin Jefferson. Before that, it was Nick Bosa, but Myles Garrett, not Myles Garrett. What's my man's name? Michael Parsons. He could end up being that guy, right? And so there, yeah, exactly. That's what I was just saying, right? You got to pay those guys, but guess what? You got to have the quarterback too. And so my thing has been, I've been kicking and screaming, don't reset the market with Dak, because he's not going to get you where you need to go. 3 straight 13-win seasons. Well, no, they were 12-5 last season, but 3 straight 12-win seasons. And what has that gotten you? Not even a conference championship appearance, right? And so that's been my thing. But when I went and I did the research, and Dak was number 2 in the league in passing yards last year, number 1 in passing touchdowns. So it's not like he didn't play extremely well. 2nd-team All-Pro. Although had Dak Purdy not missed a couple of games, he probably would have been a 2nd-team All-Pro guy. But regardless, Dak has that on his resume now. And so he and his agent, what's his name, Todd France, I think, he can go to Jerry Jones and say, yo, really? I'm not standing for freaking Trevor Lawrence being paid more than me. So he can go there and say, hey, pay me, cut the check, or I'm out. But here's the problem. So I've been saying, let him test the free agent waters. But what I didn't realize, Dak truly does have all the leverage. So right now, let me apologize to all the Cowboy fans that I was arguing with in the comments of my other Dak Prescott videos, because y'all were right. Dak Prescott has all the leverage. And why does he have all the leverage? Because if they let him walk, it's a $40 million dead cap hit next year. So you literally are stuck with $40 million on your books, and because you let him go, because you didn't repay him. So that was brilliant in the way. Yes, he does, Native Texan. He sure does. So that was brilliant in the way that they structured that deal so that they knew when the time came back around for him to get another bite at the apple, he would have all the leverage. And it was a brilliant move. G, man, your thoughts on this, because you know I've been adamant about not paying Dak Prescott. But what do? You are trapped in a spot unless you're Jerry Jones and you say, you know what? I'm a billionaire. I'm just going to eat it and start over. What are your thoughts?
Is it possible for them to franchise him?
No, because they franchised him twice last time before they paid him, he got everything he wanted in the deal. They'll take the dead cap hit if they let him walk. They cannot franchise him, and he has a no trade clause, so they can't even trade him unless it's somewhere that he agrees to go.
And
So
they got Trey Lance on the bench, right?
yeah, they
Right
got
now.
Trey
They got
Lance.
him for a 4th round pick.
Mm-hmm.
They gonna pay him.
They're gonna pay him.
They're gonna pay him.
Yeah. And I've been saying I wouldn't, but now I'm saying you kind of have to.
Yeah, but they will definitely work out Trey Lance. I think he's gonna work out preseason, and just to see where he's at. Yeah, he's gonna get a lot of reps to see if they can move, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it doesn't work out, they'll try to trade him or something like that. So, we'll see.
But so I just thought about it, right? Since Trey Lance is probably making like relatively no money, when you compare it to other NFL quarterbacks, he's making no money. Would it be a killer if you let Dak walk, you have Trey Lance, and you say, well, he's not making any money, so I can afford to take this cap hit? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if he was 12-5, like you're not gonna want to replace that, right? He got you to 12-5 last year, last 3 years, right? So you definitely want to win a season. You don't want to digress by moving one of the key pieces to your offense. That, I mean, quiet as kept. He's gonna get paid. It might be a 4-year deal. It may not be, a 5-year deal, but he's gonna get paid, bro. Like
what about letting him? Man, this is tough because if you have him, so what about letting him walk? Right? You deal with the hit, but then you trade up and maybe you draft Quinn Ewers or Shadur Sanders. Like, you got an opportunity.
That's funny. There was a rumor mill about him being a Dallas Cowboy. That's weird. There was a rumor mill about him being a Dallas kid, getting drafted by Dallas. Shakur.
I mean, yeah.
Shador,
You don't think Deion and Jerry Jones is talking behind the scenes about that? Deion already said there's certain places my son is not going to go. So you don't think that he's already talking to him? He got the number to the bat phone. You know what I'm saying?
I think you pay him. I mean, moving him right now, they lose a lot. They were still competitive last year. They just in a really tough division now, especially with the Skins coming back to life.
Right.
I mean, the Commanders.
My question is, G, how long can you be competitive without being able to get there? At some point, you got to cut bait and do something else. Being competitive every year, but not even making a conference championship game, I know that is killing the Cowboy fans. And, I always laugh, when Cowboys fail, but in all seriousness, I know it's killing their fans. I'd love to keep Dak. Yeah, I know you would for a reasonable amount of money, right? Not a market resetting deal, but he's in a position where he can demand that. And that's why I kept saying let him walk and let him find out, because I can't imagine anybody on the free agent market paying this dude $60 million. I know I wouldn't, because they try to put everything around him, but what has he shown that he can do? He can give you great regular seasons, but that to me is not what you pay somebody market setting money for. But again, that's me.
Hey, maybe you just get the 55 mil. Yeah, maybe you get the 55 mil. They need a running back. I think they got Zeke, right? Zeke is back.
Yeah, they brought Zeke back. So
that's a bigger problem. That's a bigger problem.
Yeah. Dak's greatest successes have been when he's had an outstanding run game behind him, right? We know that. So this is what I was saying. Again, I'm no Cowboys fan, but this is beyond common sense to me. When they could have got Derrick Henry at the trade deadline last year, why did the Cowboys not do that? Because this is what I'm saying. I don't believe in Dak, but if they had gotten Derrick Henry, they would have gone to the NFC Championship game and maybe even the Super Bowl. I truly believe that. He's at a level now, if he just gets that little extra, it'll get him over the hump. But he's not the guy to do it. But if they had Derrick Henry, that would have happened. And I don't know why Jerry Jones, knowing all the numbers that are in place when Dak has a 100-yard rusher, or, and seeing when Dak was at his absolute best, it was more managing the game and playing off the play action. I just don't get it. It's not that serious. It's not Dak's fault. It's Jerry's. Long as yeah. No, I get it. It is what it is. I get it, but at the same time, Dak also, and I've been saying this, he's just not that guy. Now that said, he is in a position to get what he's demanding. But if that's the case, and you're Jerry Jones, you know all this. And I didn't know that about the cap hit before. Jerry Jones knows this. He should have paid him before. He should have paid him before all these guys start getting all this extra money. He should have extended him. But, that's why I'm sitting here talking about it, right?
Yeah. I'm not a big Dak fan, but I'm not a Dallas fan either. So
right.
I'm extremely prejudiced about my my Ravens.
No, I got you. But let's say for the sake of argument, G, that you're Eugene Jones, right? and it's your team. What do you do in this situation?
You pay him.
I'm thinking you may have to. I'm thinking you may have to.
You have to pay him. Like, you have to pay him.
I did not think about this. Wow. Okay. What do you think about this, G? This is a good comment. That's a really good comment. I never thought about it that way. Wow. Yeah, some teams do better with drafting and developing, and some teams do better with free agency. But we've seen free agency turn the tide. Literally one right free agent, i.e. Reggie White going to Green Bay, turned the tide and got them a Super Bowl. So it can happen if you grab the right one. So, yeah. Definitely should have grabbed Derrick Henry. I think that would have been a difference maker, native Texan. I really do. And I've talked to a few guys about this. I really think that would have been the difference maker.
I don't think they had a chance. I think he was a Raven last year.
Yep.
And they held on a little longer for whatever reason.
Yep. All right. So those are my thoughts on this Dak Prescott thing. Getting ready to wrap it up here, but I definitely want to hear if anybody's got any calls and wants to have anything to say about the Cowboys and Dak Prescott and how they should handle this situation. I'll fully admit that I was wrong on this. I really, I don't think they're in any position. I think Dak got him over the proverbial barrel, and they're gonna have to pay him. There's no way around it, and not just pay him, but pay him what he wants. So yeah, we'll see. But if anybody wants to call in and give me their thoughts on this, let's go ahead and do that before we get out of here for the night. And by the way, if you're in the chat and you haven't already, please click that like, that subscribe, click that share button so we can make sure that we get more people in the chat for next time. This was really engaged. I appreciate all that. But yeah, if anybody wants to call in and discuss that, go ahead and give me a shout. 904-219-8264. 904-219-8264. Yeah, the Cowboys in the spot, G. They are in a spot, man. All right. Well, doesn't look like we're going to have any calls on that. I guess we're going to leave it right here. Oh, before we get out of here, I got to show some love to my guy, my favorite NBA player of all time. I'm going to run back to the NBA real quick. Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. The guy who I believe is the greatest center of all time, the guy who I believe is the second best two-way player of all time behind the one and only Michael Jordan. Today is the 30th anniversary of the Houston Rockets' first NBA championship. So 30 years ago today. Yeah. 30 years ago today. Hakeem had 25 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 block shots in closing out the New York Knicks in Game 7 of 1994 NBA Finals. So shout outs to my main man Dream. I know you probably won't hear this, but that was what I believe to be the single greatest individual season of any player in the history of the NBA. And that's league MVP, that's all-star, that's first team All-NBA, first team All-NBA defense, defensive player of the year, finals MVP, and the first player ever to lead a team in all the major statistical categories in a playoff run, which resulted in an NBA championship. Jokic has since done that as well, but Dream was the first to do it, and he didn't have a whole lot of help. He also had the least help of any finals MVP, if you want to go back and look at the numbers. Yeah, absolutely, Sneed. Absolutely. Yeah. And you know how I feel about Dream, man. I feel one way because he's my brother, and the other way because just watching him play just it did something special for me, man. I absolutely love watching Hakeem the Dream play. Matter of fact, I saw something the other day on YouTube. I think he's like 61 now, and he was teaching young guys big man moves. Yeah, so he's so special. Swept Shaq, 2 consecutive chips, defensive genius, offensive. Couldn't have said it any better, Sneed. Couldn't have said it any better. That guy was absolutely incredible. So yeah, shouts to the Houston Rockets, 30-year anniversary today of clinching their first ever NBA championship. All right, guys. We're gonna call it right here. Fantastic show tonight. Really appreciate all y'all. Appreciate the support. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate all of you who called. Appreciate all of you who engaged in the chat, man. Make sure that you continue to share the show. Tell people about it. Make sure you continue to be here. We're going to continue doing our best to bring you quality sports programming. All right. So, yeah, I guess that's it. Be back with you next time. And we're out. Peace.